Gosh, guys. Twitch doesn't like my title. Hold on a second. Let's see if this will switch it up. White trash in the building. They don't like that. Let's do something else. For Twitch. I get it. We're in a new era. So we'll say simply complicated in the building there. What's up, y'all? How we doing? You guys are quick to get in here. What's up? Let me make sure Switch is going, or Twitch, not Switch. Go live, Twitch. All right. Now Twitch is live too. What's up, everybody? Some of these comments come through on my end and some of them don't. So if I don't talk specifically to you, I'm just trying to say hi. Once I get to my story, I won't be talking a whole lot to you guys specifically other than telling my story. My voice is a little scratchy because I do a morning show. It's called The Unmasked Underground. We do it every morning, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Mountain Time. I got my cool glasses. I'm going to wear them. I feel like I look better on this live stream with glasses on. It might glare a little bit at you, but deal with it. What's up? I'm Izzy Dunfore. Welcome. Welcome. Last time I told a little story about how I became Izzy Dunfore. And oh my gosh, was it oh so serious? And I think tonight will be a lot more fun than that. I just called Combine before I got on here. He's getting the family rounded up with some food, getting them fed, and then getting home. He's going to email me or text me his email so I can give him the link. And then we'll all be hanging out together and we can all kind of talk a little bit about White Trash Records. So the first minute or so, you saw me scrambling trying to fix a title. Twitch did not like the fact that I had white trash in the building. Apparently they thought that was too sensitive of a title. That's okay. I get it. Has nothing to do with any type of current event, that's for sure. White Trash Records was something that existed around 05, 06, 07. If you'll remember, I was telling my Izzy Dunfore story, and I kind of left off at the part where I started talking with DJ Starscream, and he was about to start a record label. And I gave him 3 albums, and the reason that I stopped the story there was because there was a whole bunch of stuff that really actually led up to that moment that I got ahead of myself, and I didn't want to just jump ahead of everything that we did as a record label and as a group and as a small crew of artists who were from the middle of nowhere. Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa. What's up? Shout out. Jasper County, that's where I came from. I was representing Des Moines at the time. I was going to school for marketing. DMAC, Des Moines Area Community College. And that's in Ankeny, Iowa. And doing those classes and being an artist that I was, like I said, Luke Dog before the Izzy Dunfore character came about. I always had music that I was passing out to people and giving to students and even some of the teachers, and trying to just be heard, have people hear some of my art, some of my songs, some of my albums. I had 3 albums. I had written Little Black Cap on a White Boy, Double Diamond Presents, and also had written originally Jacked at that time. And so that was the main one that I was kind of giving out. And I was writing as Izzy Dunfore at the time, but hadn't actually switched the name over. So this was after the battles were kind of finished up. At one time there were a couple different locations where we were doing battles back at that time. That was a lot of fun. It started at KP's, and then it got moved out to Razzmatazz in West Des Moines. And then, unfortunately, some violence shut the show down. And that kind of just didn't happen anymore. It was over with at that point. Sorry, I'm going to take a drink quick. So with that break in everything that was going on, I didn't have a studio at the time because my computer that I was using for a studio had caught a virus. So I had to get rid of the computer. It didn't work anymore. And we were, like I said, I had met a person who wanted to be my manager because he heard my song, I Can Deal with the Rain. And he was friends with Tony Tarbox at 105.1 Channel Q in Ames, Iowa, who at the time had a radio show on Sunday nights called The Garage. And that show was on for a really long time in Ames, Iowa on 105.1. And they would feature unsigned artists and play all types of music, metal, rock, pop, hip-hop. And Dallas was friends with Tony, and he took the first couple recordings that I had done as Izzy Dunfore to Tony Tarbox and asked if we could come on the show. And he said yes. So keep in mind, around this time, a really, really, really big part of what we were doing was MySpace. And I miss MySpace still to this day so very much because MySpace was a time for just people to connect. Social media wasn't as scrutinized, so we had like full reign over our pages. We could have, as artists, we could have our songs that we were currently either promoting, or the current album that we had, or maybe we had an exclusive song, like we made the MySpace song at one point. That's a little bit ahead of the story, but either way, MySpace was a huge networking just blessing for artists as far as I'm concerned. And I still today, I wish there was something that was either just close to it, or if it would just come back and be the way that it was, because MySpace was my absolute favorite time. I got into contact with so many cool people through MySpace, and it was simple because if they liked what they saw, if they liked what they heard, they could just connect with you and send you a message and tell you that they liked it, and you could talk back and forth and communicate. And it wasn't restricted. I mean, we had thousands and thousands of friends available. I think I ended up with 35,000 friends at one point. But either way, MySpace had a few of the very first Izzy Dunfore songs. The first two got me on the radio with Tony Tarbox on The Garage. I Can Deal with the Rain and Another Song of Mine. And the funny thing about those songs, they were about getting raided by the police because they kicked my door in 6 o'clock in the morning, put guns to my head while I was sleeping in bed, pulled us, drug us out of bed, arrested me and my girlfriend at the time. We were both straight A students in college. It was a bad situation. She had sold some marijuana to somebody who wore a wire a couple different times. They were a student at ISU who had sold mushrooms to an undercover cop. So we got our door kicked in because of that, and he got off scot-free. Either way, not even really a huge part of the story. It is a small piece because it mentally still has I have some things that I still deal with because of that situation. But either way, Combine was from Cedar Rapids. I was in Des Moines or lived in Ames, but was running around Des Moines, going to school in Ankeny, which is a suburb of Des Moines. And hadn't really done a lot of shows at that point, but we did have music that people could hear on MySpace. And so Combine contacted me, and he's like, hey, I like your song. It was called Izzy Dunfore from the album Only I. Done for. Say what? Done for. And he had one song on his profile, Don't Fuck With Me. So don't you ever think that you can fuck with me, because if you do, I guarantee you're gonna lose. And so he was like, why don't you come to Cedar Rapids, which I had never really hung out in Cedar Rapids before. I didn't know anybody there. He said, come up here, hang out for the day. We'll just kind of kick it, see if we can get on a song. We'll fire up the studio, have some fun, whatever. So a couple weeks went by. I like I said, I was going to school, and I was also working at the time at Viking Magazine Service in Ames, Iowa. Shout out to Viking Magazine workers. That was a fun spot. But so I went up there and met Combine for the first time, and his headphones weren't working. So when I got to his house, him and his cousin Jeremy were, or excuse me, no, his cousin was Jeremy, but this was Chief Linguistics, who was also going to be on the song. But either way, headphones weren't working. We went to the mall, tried to find some headphones, and I don't know, it took a couple hours to get things rolling. So anyway, plays this instrumental. The song is called Beat Feet. He's already got a hook. Basically, it's talking about telling your bitch to beat feet. You're tired of the bullshit. So we wrote the song, recorded it that day in his living room, and it sounded good. It was something that we all had fun doing. Had a good, just a good vibe going. There were 3 different artists on it. It was its own thing. Beat feet. And so we just kind of left it at that for that day, but he had mentioned in the closing of the studio session, that he was interested in starting a group. He only wanted it to be 2 people, and he was interested in working with me. And I was all for it. Like, hell yeah, let's do it, man. Like, I saw it as a great opportunity to start as Izzy Dunfore somewhere away from home, away from what I was used to, and the people who were used to me. And so I started spending a lot of time in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Excuse me for a second. I'm holding this blunt. I'm going to light it because this is supposed to kind of be my timekeeper. I'm trying to get high, but I'm also trying to keep track of time. I got a little Candy Kush with a little Honolulu Choo Choo wax in here. Honolulu Choo Choo is Maui Wowie and Trainwreck. It's so good. So I was running around Des Moines a lot, and that's where my home area and where everybody that I know was at that time. I hadn't really ever left the state before. As an artist, I thought it would be really cool to have him, Combine, being from Cedar Rapids, and me being from Des Moines, and us being able to work both of those cities. Those are the 2 biggest cities, aside from the Quad Cities, in the state of Iowa. So it was fun for me to be able to meet another hip hop artist in Iowa who was serious enough to want to be able to work on a full album, for one thing, because up to that point I had done most of my work all by myself. And so he had something that I didn't have, and I had always at that point kind of struggled with, was finding the right instrumentals and the right beats for the songs, because a lot of the stuff that I had were mainstream albums or singles or music that I had taken the words out of or used kind of like a karaoke kind of a thing and just rapped over it. So a lot of my stuff wasn't very high quality as far as the music behind it, and he had thousands and thousands and thousands of beats, and they were all pretty good, and he had even gone through all of them and separated the super good ones from the mid good ones, and then there were some that were like, we're not going to use these at all. No way we're going to rhyme on these. So let me take a second to hit this blunt, guys. Jeez. Can I get high for just a second? Can we get a motherfucking moment of silence? Can I just shut up for a second to get high? Thank you. My gosh. I feel like sometimes all I do is scream at these computer screens all day long. So anyway, the second song that we worked on, if I remember right, and I could be wrong, but I believe it was White Boys. And White Boys was about being white boys. Combine already had his verses and had left part for me to do this song. And so I came and I think I had it written when I got there this time. We didn't sit together and write it because, like I said, he had already had his. In fact, I think he gave me the beat to take home when we finished Beat Feet, which actually if you were around Simply Complicated when we first started, our album changed and evolved quite a bit, and Beat Feet was released at one point and was a song on Front Page News when there was 20 tracks on it, but it was reduced a little bit as time went on. Now, White Boys, it was a fun song. It was it had like a We Will Rock You kind of boom boom clap to it. Like it was you guys need to go listen to this album. The finished product was called Front Page News. I think we recorded 21 songs altogether, and a couple of them we took off of, I guess they weren't really released, but they were old solo songs that both of Combine had and I had. I had Oh No, and I think we might even put the Izzy Dunfore song on there at one point, like re-recorded, which is that would be very rare if you have that. But Combine had Big Bad Gangsta and Don't Fuck With Me were his two solo jams. So we put those together, and then we did all these songs. Welcome to a World. It was called Simply Complicated. And Something New. We did Drug Abuser. We did You Should Hide. And then Bonus actually kind of came into the picture in a couple different ways. The first thing that he did was sent me a message saying that he had liked one of my mixtape songs. And he was putting together his own mixtape. And in doing that, he wanted to use one of my tracks called Snap Like This. Snap Like This was, let me make sure that's not Combine. Snap Like This was originally 50 Cent's Magic Stick. It was. Okay. We're going to get him in here in just a second. Okay. I got his email. Great. I'll send this off to him. Invite Combine into the show. Yay. Okay, so we were recording those songs, and Bonus sent me a message asking if he could use this song called Snap Like This on his mixtape. He was putting a show together. I had already had a show booked that night in Ames, Iowa with Trip Marks. Plex was there. And I don't remember who else was all there, but there was a few Des Moines artists who at that time were the main guys, the kind of the main roster. I think Tremaine was there, Straight Vodka Entertainment. In fact, I'm pretty sure he was actually the one who was putting on the show. I opened up the show. So that was my very first actual Izzy Dunfore show in a venue. And that night, I did that show and drove up to Cedar Rapids to Kaji Steakhouse, to the first show that we actually also did as Simply Complicated. And when we did that, Bonus comes and he's like, I got my mixtape, man, but this show was put together by Jorge from United Nations. It was at Kaji Steakhouse. And Bonus says, man, this sucks, dude. Like, my partner put a diss track on my mixtape on the last song, and he didn't even tell me, and I've been handing it out to people, and there's a song, it's a diss track about me on my own mixtape. And so his group was called the Midwest Riders, and of course they weren't a group anymore after that. So that show in itself, if I remember right, 2 MCs were there, and it was a good sized show. Like I was very proud to be a part of it. For one of my first shows, I was excited, I was nervous, and I think I messed up Welcome to a World that night, one of the first times I'd ever screwed up a song. That might not have been the very first Simply Complicated show. I take that back. I think the Blue Collar Lounge might have been the very first one. We had a VHS tape of that one. But we weren't even called Simply Complicated then, I don't think. But either way, so when we were working as a group, White Trash Records, I don't even know if it was called White Trash Records yet. But Bonus kind of needed a new home. He was young. I think he might have been 20 years old. Combine and I were both, I think I was 26. He might have been 27, maybe even the same age as me. He was a little bit older, though, if I remember right. So Bonus kind of ended up clicking up with us because he got, kind of kicked to the curb or thrown under the bus or whatever you want to say by his partner, Bloke of Champagne. And so their situation wasn't good. And so we started doing a couple songs with Bonus. We had him on a song called Superhero. And then Bonus and I did a song called Passenger Seat. And then we worked on a song called Our Town. And that one actually went on the album. That was one of our favorite ones to do live. And at the same time, Bonus was working on his solo album. So we were working on a whole bunch of music at once. Like, I was working on Only I. Combine had the Simply Complicated idea, which I was brought into. And that was the first actual, other than my solo album, which hadn't been released yet, that was the first Izzy Dunfore project that had really been begun with absolutely 100% moving forward with Izzy Dunfore rather than being Luke Dogg at all. Luke Dogg was finished because I overdosed on drugs, and at that point, I considered myself dead. That guy died. Done. So when Izzy Dunfore came to be, it was a new beginning, a new start, and I didn't look back at the past. I looked at everything as a new beginning and a new start, moving forward. So let's take a couple hits of some weed. White Trash Records. While we were recording Front Page News, Bonus was recording Round 1. I think it was only called Round 1, but Round 1 Knockout. Maybe that was the whole title. But we also had DJ Blends, who was working at 107.1, I believe it was, which is Cedar Rapids, pop station. And he was doing the skits and was doing some of the live DJ stuff at shows. And at that time, Fate was making a couple beats here and there, but he was living down in Arizona going to school. And so it was Bonus working on his album, more with Fate than we were. Bonus and Fate were the connection there. And Bonus actually went to Arizona to move Fate back home after he got done with school and finished that stuff. So Fate was an engineer and a DJ. And him and Chris Jackson were friends, and so they worked together on a lot of the help that we needed because we were writing all these songs but didn't necessarily have a lot of the engineering and recording skills that we needed to make it quality. So Front Page News is what I would call an underground amateur album, but it's so cool. Like, it is the absolute beginning of what is still going on today. It was so much fun doing and being a part of while we were writing it. I actually, because I had overdosed on drugs, had quit drinking, and was sober for 5 years. I was in trouble. I was on probation, so I wasn't smoking weed at the time. Like, I was completely sober, which is not something that I'm used to. And so those songs that we were writing were just so different, and they were more in a juggalo vein, but we weren't like straight up whoop whoop juggalos, but we definitely were working towards that market, trying to sell those songs or get noticed by people in juggalo world, the juggalo frame of mind. So Combine had been to the gathering. At that point, I never had been. I was definitely a fan, but I hadn't been to the festivals, and that was a big high point of his life that we always asked him about. Like, what was it like? He was in the battle there, and he almost won the Hatchet House contest that Axe Murder Boys won, and he had a pretty tight connection with those guys at the time. So while we were all recording these things and everything was going pretty cool, we were having fun, the White Rapper show happened on VH1. And I don't know if anybody remembers that. It wasn't a huge hit success by any means, but it was kind of popular when it was on. I believe the guy from third base was the host. What was his name? MC Search. And so we drove to Kentucky. We loaded the van full of me, Bonus, Sparks, who was on the Weed Man skit. I think Craig Roush went with us, Combine, and it was a van full. We drove to Kentucky to audition for the White Rapper show. And in between that time, in all this recording, we had copies of the album, but it wasn't really official copies. We just kept burning them, and we would sell them at shows, which at that point, I was booking all the shows, and I was booking shows like a madman. Probably more than everybody appreciated, to tell you the truth. I was, like I said, going to school for marketing, so I was really motivated to do marketing things. And as I was booking all these shows, I would have to drive to Cedar Rapids, which was an hour and a half away from where I was living. And often, and all the time actually, Bonus was driving, and he'd pick Combine up, and then he would take or drive the two of them to wherever they were going. Well, this particular time I was the driver, and I drove us all the way to Kentucky, and that was the furthest we had ever gone from home. And I think that's the furthest we ever did go from home as a group. But Combine got selected, actually, to be on the show and was offered a contract to be on the White Rapper show. And I hope that he comes and joins me on here pretty soon, because at this point, it's kind of where I feel like his story matters too, because up to this point, we'd pretty much done everything together. And when he got that deal, at the same time, I was working in Des Moines and ran into DJ Starscream and took all these albums. If you remember, I told you I took 3 albums to DJ Starscream. He was filming at the new Razzmatazz, and I gave him Only I, Front Page News, and what was the third one? The Dunfore Project, which that was supposed to be like an in-betweener album to get us 2 Front Page News and get us 2 bonuses round 1. So we had a whole bunch of music happening at one time. I was also working in Ames with Bumblefuck Music. The unreleased album, if you guys have checked that out on SoundCloud, was all the work that I did at that time. So I give 3 albums to DJ Starscream. He takes them home, listens to them. Through MySpace, once again, DJ Starscream hit me up and says, "Hey man, this stuff's really good. You should come hang out at my house and let's talk about what you want to do." And so I don't know how much time went by, a few weeks, and I finally got a day where he was available and I was available, because he had just taken a break from world tour with Slipknot. DJ Starscream is number 0 from the group Slipknot. I had been trying to do my schooling and finish all that stuff up, because I was kind of at the end. Combine at the time was working at True Green, which he's been working there, he said today, for 21 years. That's awesome for anybody to have that long of a tenure at a job these days. So shout out to him for that. That's a long time to stay in one spot. Smoke some weed if you got some weed, guys. I'm going to take just a second. I'm going to hope Combine pops on here quick. We used to have a whole bunch of fans, guys. We'd run around, white trash in the building, saying, "Keep it simply complicated." And, we had all sorts of different allies and enemies and, different things that happened online that it was just fun, man. Like, we wrote the MySpace song, so we had an exclusive song for MySpace. Some people still sing it to me. I think it's important for me to mention that I was also always working on solo stuff. And I think that was a hot button for not everybody. I think maybe Combine's just a little bit, because he was kind of the decision maker, I would say, of White Trash Records. It was his record label. When I was writing music, I wrote often, and so the songs I was cranking out at that point were many. Like I had a whole bunch of songs backed up, ready for everybody to work on. Was sending them to them one by one. Like, here, do this one, do that one. Sending them all over the United States to different artists. And I think that got mistaken as me trying to be a spotlight hog, which I'm the first to admit I have a big ego, yes, and it's grown larger over the years. And part of the reason is because I did work so hard at being the artist that I wanted to be. So I can't actually completely argue and say that that's wrong, you know, and I think that's important in this storytelling time that I'm honest, and I wasn't trying to be malicious and trying to outwork anybody or make them look bad or, you know, outperform my label mates. I was trying to motivate them to work as hard as I knew they could as well. And in doing that, I feel like I, you know, created a little friction. So that was a lesson learned, and it was probably a big part of why we didn't continue to be as successful as we started out over time. And there were other things that happened. So the White Rapper show was actually a big part of that. When we were working with DJ Starscream, he was starting Tough Bong Records. So we would record on Sundays. Now, if you know Combine is a huge football fan, and his favorite team is the Detroit Lions. So every Sunday, it just so happened that our studio time was exactly during football games. And Combine chose to watch the Detroit Lions over everything else. It was a family thing for him. It was hard for me to accept his choice in that because at the time we were working towards a record deal and we had not signed a contract, but we were in the studio trying to record songs, trying to get something moving forward and just kind of build some momentum. There he is, Combine in the house. Let me see if I can add him in.
Yo!
What up, dude?
What up?
How you doing?
My boss is calling me. Talk to you later, fella.
Long time no see.
Yes, sir.
You look good.
Yeah, well, I feel like shit.
Man. So I'm just talking a little bit about the White Rapper show and trying to tell people how you were actually invited to join that show.
Yep.
And didn't do that because the advice given to us by DJ Starscream was not to go and do that. And so at that point, that was probably the first, and welcome to the show, Combine. That was probably the first big issue that, you know, we kind of had. So that's the point where I've gotten to in the story, man. Welcome in. Glad you came at the best time.
Yes, sir.
But
yeah,
so
that's probably out of all of the shit that ever happened. That's probably my biggest regret. I mean, in all honesty, I mean, not being able to even have the opportunity. You know, just
talk about it, man. Go ahead. That's what this show's about.
I still have all the plane ticket, the whole contract from Viacom, you know, the whole 9 yards to go to the show. But basically, Sid said, you go to the show, then you can't be part of this.
Right.
Which made no sense because it wasn't for a contract or anything, you know what I mean? It was literally for, what, 100 G's, I think it was?
There were, different numbers in there. I try not to be too crazy about finances. Like there was a lot of money on the table, yes.
But it was more scary because if they wanted to contract, kind of like American Idol does, they can contract you at any second they want to within a certain, amount of time after you're on the show. So if you blow up and turn into fucking, Lil Wayne, they're gonna hop right on you within that year, and then they're gonna own you. I think that's what he was ultimately scared about. Because we had pretty sick shit at the time that we were doing. So
Hell
and
yeah,
he
we
fucked
did.
that up.
Amen, dude. He did. And so, okay. So he tells Combine, you're not going to be allowed to do the White Rapper show if you're going to be part of Tough Bong Records. So we were recording every Sunday. And like I was just saying, you're a really big Detroit Lions fan, and that was a family thing for you. And so it often interfered with our recording time. And so that was another issue that the record label and the studio engineers had issues with, because they had a certain time set out for us to record. And it wasn't always that we were both there to record. A lot of times I was the only one there to record. So, how many songs did you actually get to record when we were starting out trying to be on Tough Bong Records?
Oh God, I think it was like 4 or 5.
I remember Home, About to See, and then we had done another one called We Want More, and I Don't Really Want to Hear It.
Yeah.
That's 4. Were there more than that?
I don't remember, man. I mean, I think
There was another one called Sunshine Shower. You remember that one?
I don't, just because the fact that a lot of when you have like shit that really shocks your system, you kind of block it out in your life. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of that stuff is like it just disappeared, man. It disappeared from my brain, except for like the really, really strong stuff. Like the fucking argument with Sid's manager and all that stuff. That's what I'll never forget, because that was some funny shit.
Yep. So let's back up a little bit. So let's not get into all the horrible stuff. Let's talk about some of the good stuff, because I feel like I talked and glanced over it, but now that you're here, like when we first started out, the very first couple songs we did, the very first one was Beat Feet.
Did you tell them how we met?
MySpace.
Fucking MySpace.
Yeah, dude. I miss MySpace still to this day.
I know, man. I don't get it. Why and Facebook was nothing back when we were in the MySpace era. It's like only for college kids.
Exactly. Yep.
Facebook runs the fucking world.
They really do. Yeah, it's insane. That was the beginning of social media. But you were doing all the customization of our pages. Like, you were the one that made them look cool. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff.
And now you look at it in retrospect, and you look at everything that I ever really did, and you're just like, God damn, that was garbage. You know what I mean? But just trying to get by, make it look okay.
Dude, at the time, it was definitely ill. You know what's funny, man, is Louis. Do you remember Louis Polizzi? He's supposed to.
Die
Yep, he's supposed to be here. OG Screw's supposed to be here. Some of the old fans still hang on, dude, and I get asked about you a lot, man. What do you do these days with music? Anything?
I am retired.
Are you?
I'm a dad, man.
Right on.
I still do stuff. I still talk to Drew. Not really made anything in over a year.
Yep.
But between my, I have another kid. I have a 14-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. They're pretty much my whole entire life. I really don't care about anything. And then on top of it, I have a really stellar job that's just. It's hard for me to try to be a musician in this day and era. Now, if I wanted to be an internet rapper, I could do that, and I could just sit back and make music like I do. But
yep.
I learned out of all the years and the hundreds and hundreds of shows and traveling all over the country that I fucking hate doing shows, because of the people that I kept my company with and their friends, not necessarily the direct people, but a lot of their friends. And as a musician, there's nothing more than that I hated than staying at the shows, drinking all night. I'm not about that party life, you know what I mean?
That was always I remember, man, like we would kick it and you would want to be out of there. And that was always a slight issue with me wanting to market our stuff. And you're like, I need to go. You had a little more anxiety than I did with that kind of stuff. And yeah, I do remember that now that you're saying some of that stuff. Like I totally remember that about being at shows with you. It was great during the show, but as soon as it was done, you were like, I just want to go home, dude. You know, like.
And you know, and sometimes I didn't mind it if it was like hanging out at the merch booth or you know what I mean. But then when it's like the show's over, let's fucking still stay at the bar. Let's hang out for 4 more hours afterwards. And at first, when we first started off, that was cool, man. And once I started getting into doing the stick-up shows and, you know, and doing all the tours with, you know, doing the first leg of the Raw tour with Hobson, it got old doing it every single day, man. It was like, dude, I can't do this every single day. There's no way I can just party and drink. I mean, I can smoke all damn day long, but I can't party and drink, you know, all night long, you know what I mean? And then, wake up and miss my flight, and you know,
it's hard.
Or risk having it's very tough. And at the same time, having a daughter at the time probably made it the most difficult because and then a wife that has issues, medical issues, and she doesn't work, so I'm the only financial, you know, supporter in the house. So it just really made it tough to live off of what we would make. I mean, making the 6 month shows, making $500, and it still wouldn't be enough to be able to live off of and support a whole entire family. It is being a musician, especially an underground musician for longevity, is definitely a single man sport.
That's very true.
Unless you blow, you know what I mean. But all it takes is the one song, and put that shit on TikTok now. Every piece of shit song is blowing up now.
Yeah, that's one I haven't really got into yet. That's what Chris, who's the engineer here, he's been saying, get on TikTok, and I put it off all the time. But yeah, man. So when we did Front Page News and we did you know, some extra songs that we put on another mixtape, the Dunfore project, and then we started working on the Trailer Park Boyz. That was kind of where Simply Complicated and White Trash Records was having so much success and had so much going on and so much music that we were trying to get out to all of these people that every little thing was like a huge deal. And we went to
music, you know what I mean? At the time we concentrated on smaller aspects, but that's in retrospect.
We were overworked and underpaid, that's for sure. You know,
we're ambitious as shit though.
It was fun to grow in Cedar Rapids because we kind of really did take over that town for a minute. And we went from doing shows at a small little, you know, the Blue Collar Lounge to, you know, we did the mall, we did Doozies, and then we eventually worked our way up to Cabo, which was a you know, what was it, 350 they held or whatever. Kaji Steakhouse was, I was telling that's where we met Bonus at first, you know, United Nations or Jorge.
Bob's all night long.
Oh, see, at that time I wasn't drinking yet. Remember when I was sober for the first like 6 months, and then there was a big snowstorm, and at Gabe's I got all trashed on the stage. You remember that?
Yep. Yes, sir.
And you got mad because the girls all sat down during Louis Vuitton bitches, and you were like, "What the fuck? Where you guys at?" That was fun, man. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I miss a lot of it. And I'm actually going to be going up to Jersey in a couple weeks and working on a track up there. I'm still going to make music, but I'm just not going to pursue music.
Right on. I feel you.
Yeah, it's just I still love it. I still love making it, but it's a shady fucking business, man.
Dude, yeah, I totally agree with you there. I've done my best just to try to put everything on the table when there is business to be done, but it's so difficult when you don't know what the backstory for whoever you're working with is and what they've really got going on. And hardly anybody's honest these days, so it becomes difficult when everybody's got a promise, but you know whether they take their action or not, and it affects you in the end. And often people come up short, and then you're stuck to deal with it, and then they're just, there's really no recoup or recourse or anything that you can do if they don't come up with their end, especially when you've already done yours, and then it's just a stalemate. But you feel like they got over on you because you do your part, and then they don't do theirs, and then what do you get? Shit on. I feel you.
Yep. Half off at the bar if you want. That's about all you get.
Yeah, right. We get you a burger. Yep.
No shit.
Yep. That's a lot of times. So when we were doing Simply Complicated, and we were also recording the Trailer Park Boys, at that point, you had decided not to do the White Rapper show, and then we were trying to get songs done for Tough Bong Records and supposed to sign a contract with Sid Wilson and his idea was for a record label. So tell everybody what Sid's manager said to you, because I don't even really know that. That was something that I wasn't even present for. But there was a point where Tough Bong Records, the manager, and Combine finally hit head to head, and there were some type of conversation happened, and then there was just no coming back. So please tell me exactly what happened too.
Well, so I'm sitting at my house, in front of my Tascam 4 track. You remember that bad boy?
Do you still have those tracks?
I do not.
Right on.
I have them in a WAV file on a disc, but I don't have the actual Tascam no more.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, I do, but yeah, I definitely have all my waves for everything I've made.
Cool.
Should actually, off subject for a quick second, I actually have 2 songs with Hobson all waved out. Super dope tracks, never released.
Right on.
Super duper dope songs. So sometime they'll probably be out in the future, just thrown out for free once they get mastered. But
okay. That's what's
anyway,
up.
so I'm sitting there just chilling, right? And I get a phone call. I think Bonus was at the house, and I get a phone call, and dude says, "You need to take that down." I'm like, I need to take what down? He's like, that song that you put up about Sid, because I made a song directly about Sid, just a straight diss track about him, and basically, I'm like, I instantly get super defensive, and I'm like, who the fuck are you? And he's like, well, I'm the manager, and he's like, I'm like, I'm not taking it down. He's like, well, we're gonna come to your house. I said, oh, what are you gonna do? Get all your fucking maggots and come and moss me to death, motherfucker? And he's like, dude, you don't know who you're dealing with. I said, I don't give a fuck who you're dealing with. Come to my house. I will protect mine. Long story short, it was a huge argument. By the end of it, he was wishing me a happy life as I moved on.
Right.
It was just, I'm just some little Iowa dude that ain't got no, you know what I mean? I ain't got no clout yet. I ain't got nothing going on. But a few hundred fans, you know what I mean? So really, you really want to come do something to me, please do so I can blow up when you're doing something stupid.
Sure.
So that ended that shit pretty damn quick. But I do remember one line. I can't remember the whole thing. One line I noted about him is, do you remember we had a long conversation that says in his nasty ass fucking house with platinum plaques on the wall, weirdest fucking home I've ever been in my life. You remember him talking about Indian Steel Dope? His grandma had his co-sign for his truck.
right?
So I put in there, I said, you can't even afford to own your own Ford, make the payments in your grandma's name. It ain't yours. So I know that shit made him really, really mad, dude. I said, the stars don't scream when you're just the number zero. Oh man, I know he was very upset. So. But it is what it is, man. It's just music. It ain't
For
like
sure.
altercations, man. I'm not about that life. If I have to, I'll protect mine. But I wouldn't recommend it. I'm a gigantic motherfucker. You know, I just
The last time I seen you, you were skinny, dude. What happened?
marketing manager job. On my ass ordering, and then COVID-19 ordering fucking Grubhub and fucking DoorDash.
I get that for sure.
Just over this COVID, dude.
You didn't get sick, did you? Right on. That's good.
I wear no mask, none of that either.
Right on.
I'm not a cheap. You know what I mean? I just don't do that shit, man. It's just, I don't know, man. Wash your hands, keep yourself covered, be smart. But I also don't know very many people that have done it.
Yeah, I choose to wear a mask when I'm in public because I don't know how clean other people are, and
It also comes down to help people. They don't go around the bad and nothing. You know what I mean? If I had underlying health issues or people that I went around that did, I'd probably be different, but I don't.
Yeah.
For 2 months, I worked at home, literally just sitting here, not moving, man. I thought I could move the legs for a week once.
Dude, I remember those cramps you used to get where your leg would suck in. Do you remember that shit?
I lost that 140 pounds. I started getting those same cramps on my side.
Oh,
dude, and you can't get those fuckers out.
Oh man. So okay. Before Sid had a big issue with you, which he really did single you out, and he had a huge issue with you, and I'm not sure where that started, but before that,
you saw me go to the bathroom once.
Well, it's the big show. That's right. He came to a show once though and opened up for us at Cabo. And that's how we actually got signed, was he saw us perform and wanted to work with both of us and had given us music to work on, and we recorded for him. And then he ended up deciding, because of whatever his issue with Combine was, and he didn't like Bonus either. He would kind of talk shit with you and me about Bonus when he wasn't in the room. But then he would also talk a lot of shit about everybody when I was there. So he ended up...
I think a lot of it had to do with me not just jumping right to sucking his fucking dick because I was so happy to be a part of it. It was a long fucking drive there, man. You're talking fucking hours just there every time we go. And I'm working a full-time job. You know what I mean? While I'm trying to do music and do our shows and record albums, I'm coming up there on every week and I do dance. And then obviously the football thing, with my brother, a lot of mine is family will always rebel over everything to me, and that's the only thing that I do with my brother at all.
Yep.
So, but other people on the outside looking in, they're like, I tour all over the country. This is my life. You know what I mean? They don't look at it the same way as I do, because they don't have to work a 60-hour-a-week job for an entire family. I think he looked at it like I wasn't bending over backwards to get down there to do stuff. That's why he didn't like it.
I can see that perspective.
No, it had nothing to do about musically or talent at all. I know that wasn't problem.
Right. No. Every time you were there, he enjoyed what you had done as far as your work. I think that everybody was so excited at that point because we had already done so much and we were ready. We were at a point where we were we're ready to move forward, and we felt like as a group he was all almost holding us back because we had already created this wave that was pushing forward quite well. And then the idea of Trailer Park Boys, I personally, I felt like it derailed me from what we were trying to do before that project.
Me personally, on that, I look at it like I just wanted something else to do because we couldn't really work on something complicated without going to the point. You know what I mean? So like kind of doing something else just to do it. And that fucking album is the most pieced together fucking album. No one would ever know that. You know what I mean? If you bonus sent me a verse, you sent me a verse, I threw on a verse. It just was never really like focused on as much as I think as we did even with Front Page News. But then obviously, Sam added a touch to it that made it sound a little bit more different. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the quality of it is really good. My personal issue with it was that we went and changed our names, and the Luke Dog thing with me was supposed to be done and over with. And I don't know if we ever discussed that. I think we did. But, as Izzy Dunfore was my stage name and Luke Dog was the old one, that happened when I overdosed on drugs. And I didn't want to. So yeah, I wasn't trying to really keep those two characters in to where they were both part of what I was doing.
Yeah, so, see, I was looking for like just any random bullshit name, you know what I mean? That's why it was Refund, and it was just something stupid off the wall because I couldn't use my own name because of the situation we were getting in with it. I just wanted to kind of find a way to still make music and have, do what we do because, man, that fucking kid was there to make music more than ever at that moment, you know what I mean? And I think things would be a lot different now if the same situation were to happen, because with all technology the way it is, I wouldn't even have to fucking drive there. I could do shit from an in-house studio and send a perfect wave over directly, and it just was ahead of my time at that point. Not having Pro Tools or what I mean, running off a fucking 4-track,
Right. Same for me. I was not anywhere near an engineer. If I was recording, it was very, very bare minimum. Whatever I put in the mic was what people heard. Like I didn't know how to do that stuff. That's where Sam came in and took over a lot of that stuff that you had also done on Front Page News all by yourself.
Could you imagine what Front Page News would sound like if Sam would have done that to it?
I'm saying, like, if we could get those tracks and remaster that stuff, dude, that album is still fucking fire. Like,
Michelle shows day of everything I've ever heard of. I mean, because I have what? Between all the different stuff that I've done with the crew, I mean, I've done like 11 albums. So she still thinks Front Page News is by far her favorite one.
Nice.
I mean, because she doesn't listen to all of it. She listens to, I think she just listens to the passion and what we're doing. And then you can kind of hear that in even though the quality is dog shit horrible compared to stuff that's newer. You can hear the difference, the love of music more in it than ever. It's not forced. It's just fun and having a great time. Two dudes that met on MySpace.
Dude, I listened to the whole album before I jumped on here, and that's all I was thinking too, was just like how great that music really was. Like anybody who heard it was down. They were like, "Yep, that's what we want to hear from now on." Simply Complicated, like that's the best. Everywhere we went, we definitely kicked ass, and I'm surprised to hear you're retired, but like you said, maybe you'll give me a chance to kick another track, Simply Complicated style, one of these days.
I'm not done making music. You send me something, I'm gonna write something and I'll send it back to you. I still got recording equipment, so it's all here. I prefer to focus on my kids and food.
I feel it. Ain't much changed.
It's complicated.
Hey, there it is too.
You remember that when I got that?
I do. Yeah.
That fan in was it Clinton or was it Davenport?
Say again?
Was it Clinton or Davenport?
Clinton.
The fan.
Clinton.
You still rocking the Adidas?
Every day, bro.
Oh shit! No way.
You bet. Ain't nothing changed at all. It's still the same. I got these glasses.
Now it's crazy expensive for them Yeezys.
Yeah. Bonus hooked me up with a bunch of them. You ever see him?
Actually, I hired him. About a year and a half ago. He worked with me for about 7 months, and then we went to a layoff because we got sell lawn chairs. So we went to layoff, and I went to call him back to bring him back for the year this spring. He said some guy hired him on the side to make park benches. So for all I know, Bonus is making park benches for a living.
Very fun. Right on.
Yeah, sounds like a blast. As long as he's doing well, man. Still a good friend. I just don't. I don't have a lot of people that I would consider my friends, man. I would consider I have a lot of acquaintances and people that I just randomly chat with every once in a while. But the reason that is because people fucking suck, man. They're very disappointing.
Yep.
They're hard to trust, man. It just, and the music it has made me more like that. You don't know who's got your back, man. I know there's like my brother, my sister, my cousin, other people that I know that got my back. And there's a lot of friends that are literally just turn their fucking head on you for $100. That's not a fucking friend, man. A friend is a person that sticks around no matter what and blows a big old ripper right in your face when you're sleeping in the middle of the night. That's a friend, man. A friend is someone that protects you from someone putting markers on your face while you're at a show, in hotels. Because you're passed out drunk. That's a friend.
Right.
Yep.
I feel it, dude.
That's experience, man. I literally, we did a show with, oh God, who was it? Was it Mad Child? God, I can't remember. I was sick, dude. I had the flu or something going on. I wasn't feeling well, so I was like, I'm going back to the hotel. And this is in Minneapolis. You know what sick fucks are, man. There's a lot of crazy dudes that quick, So we have combined hotels. Not a good idea. So I'm like, dude, I gotta lay down. I'm like, if anybody fucks with me, I'm gonna freak out. And he's like, I won't let anybody fuck with you. And they're all night trying to bang on the doors, trying to get in there and trying to fuck with me. All literally wanted to do shit. I warned all the people, Jimmy Don, I told all them dudes, don't you dare be coming right now. It ain't gonna be funny in the morning. I'm gonna be fighting every motherfucking one of you dudes. I don't care how long it takes you, I will not stop. Don't fuck with me when I'm sleeping. I'm not that dude. And
you said, so don't you ever think that you can fuck with me? Because if you do, I guarantee you're going to lose.
It's the truth, man.
Hell yeah.
Another thing happened when we were in Denver. We did a show at the Roxy, and we're at the hotel that night. I got one of those shoes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely changed the whole thing. I sit on the hotel bed last night in Denver, and I'm like ready to party. Have a good time for the whole night before we fly back to Iowa. Take the Chiba Chew. Oh, Jimmy Don actually said $20 if you eat that whole Chiba Chew. So I'm like, that it's fucking Tootsie Roll, whatever.
Yeah.
So I go in my room and I'm like, all right, well, we're sitting there. There's a whole bunch of girls and a whole bunch of shit going on. I'm sitting there, and out of nowhere, I just stand up and I pointed at everybody like, I gotta go. And I walk to my hotel room and I sit in my bed. I'm frozen at the end of the bed, sitting there, and I'm like, I'm rocking, but I'm not really moving. I slowly start getting this little rock, just a little rock, and finally, rock all the way back to where I fall back in the fetal position. And the TV was on, but my eyes were closed. I was watching the news in my brain. I literally watched the news in Ukraine, bro. It was amazingly crazy, but I never thought that out of all the drugs I've done in my life, that I would say the most fucked up I've ever been was also weed. And it was.
That's
And
wild, though.
I've done everything you can think of except for peyote.
Hell yeah.
And that shit, dude. Fuck man, fuck them edibles unless it's a small little peach ring or something. I ain't going that route.
You must have had a decadose.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that'll get you.
That's what it was. No, yeah, you were laughing when I ate it, but it was so small.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't much to it. Yeah,
It'll get you.
I was, shit, I mean, everything came a long time ago. Shit, but we met, 14 years ago?
Yeah, 2005 is when we first linked up. And 2006, we put out Front Page News. So it's been 15 years since we first met. Yeah.
I still have about 40 pressed copies of that.
Really?
Yeah,
I bet.
if you email me your address, I'll send you a couple of the Trailer Park Boys that you're on seal, so you have them.
Yeah, I'd really like that. That'd be great.
I got boxes and boxes of shit, man.
Hell yeah. Do you still have the instrumentals from Front Page News that we had tracked out?
Oh, I'm sure I do. I got little spindles of yellowed at fucking CDs, you know, that have been sitting there for years. I know the things are yellow, dude. They have not. I remember that you smoked it.
Oh, dude.
It was everything in that room was solid gold.
There, I feel it though. Do you live in the same house?
No. I bought a new house 4 years ago. So we rented that house, and then I moved out and bought a brand new house.
Gotcha. That's good. We'll have to come and check you out sometime, man. It's been too long.
I know Michelle would love it.
Yeah, dude. It'd be cool to catch up for sure. You know, so the point of me doing this is this, you know, with the virus, the venues are shut down, there's no tours, all that kind of stuff. So I started doing a morning podcast, and after playing music for people, I figured out that my assumptions that everybody knew everything about every song that I put out was very wrong. And so I started getting questions from people like, you know, just simple, what about this? What about this? So I started at night every other week doing just a telling of my story. This is only the second one. So White Trash Records was the beginning of Izzy Dunfore's hip-hop career, really. And, you know, your record label was the start. So those times are good times to me, man.
What about Chad getting a tattoo on his whole entire arm?
White Trash Records on the inside of his arm. It's all the way across here. Yeah.
He's black dude. It's crazy.
He is black, and he has a White Trash Records tattoo.
That shit. Yeah, I just had him just over last weekend.
You talked to him recently?
Oh yeah, I talk to Chad all the time, man.
Yeah? Well, tell him I said hi. See how he reacts.
I will. What, you guys keeping or what?
I don't know how he feels. I feel good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it should be fine. If you see Bonus, tell him I said hi too.
Yeah, I will.
But I'd rather just when I get the chance, come and hang out with you. If you what, like, are you Monday through Friday working right now?
I get to work at 9 and it takes me to get off around 8.
Wow.
Friday, and then Saturday I do work like 9 to 3.
Okay.
But that usually goes down around just going to September, and then it's more just you know, we'll probably be working get off by 5 or 6, you know, with no Saturday. Just lawn care season, you know. And we're getting back to COVID, you know, restrictions being lifted. We're going door to door again, and back to selling like normal. Well, kind of like normal, you know, as much as possible.
Uh-huh. Right on. Well, yeah, man. I'm really glad that you stopped in. I wasn't trying to bring up a bunch of old tough emotional issues. I wanted it to just be a high hangout. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad that you're doing well.
You too. You
Um,
should check out too.
they're all over the place, huh?
Think they are.
Stoned and in the zone.
Man. I tell you, I watched the creation of the Stoner Izzy Dunfore happen because Izzy didn't smoke like he does now. This dude's professional.
I was in trouble back then. I couldn't. It was against the law for me.
I remember you started with a little bowl. Sam was involved. And then
The skinnies.
holy shit. Okay, so now he's living in or Colorado. Go to Colorado.
That's how we do it. I got my medical card. They kept trying to throw me in jail in Iowa. I got tired of that shit.
What you your toe?
I actually wrecked a four-wheeler in 2010.
Oh shit.
Yep.
What happened?
It didn't stop. When I tried to stop, I had to bail off, and it hit a tree, and also I hit a different tree and just went through it and kind of broke and busted it up a little bit. Actually, that's kind of a big. There's a lot of story being left out, but like Sam lived up in Minnesota with me for a year and a half working on stuff, and was a DJ. He rode around the yard one time before I got on the four-wheeler. Rode around the yard one time and crashed it. Like he watched me smash my shoulder. So it was probably the only, as an adult, the most painful injury that I've been through, I would say, other than a surgery. But
Have you talked to Sam? At all?
who?
Sam?
Last time I saw him was when we did a Red Man Method Man show up in Minneapolis at the Varsity Theater. He came up, and I don't think I've seen him since then, and that's been 5 years ago.
Hey, did he get married?
He did get married, definitely. Yep. He's got a house. His parents bought him a house. He got married. He's
Always a trust motherfucker. I'm not afraid to admit I'm jealous. I'm jealous. This shit is that good. My life would be completely different. But at the same time, I love my life for what it is. But sometimes it's nice to imagine what it would have been like. You got parents that had like that gets you cut you off for life. I'm sure that wouldn't be fucking in Iowa.
Yeah, man. Money don't solve problems. People with money still got problems. It's not all that.
No, it don't solve problems, but it sure does help create wonderful memories, different ones. But at the same time, I feel like if I had blown up, nothing would have happened. Nothing, we didn't split up. We went on. We blew up. We toured. I never would have probably had that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So everything happens for a reason, man. I don't got any even kids. And none of them. I don't. Why? Why be upset with somebody over anything, dude? In the moment, your story. More passionate about it. But everyone's got their reasons why they do it. God definitely has different situations for everybody playing out, man. They do depend on what path you take in life. So look at me getting all God.
Hey, what it comes from though is experience, man. And you and I have been through some things together, and then we've had our words and our issues, and we both did separate things, but had success in our own right, in our own mind, and followed our own path.
But one thing, you never want to go full team though.
Say it again.
I said you never want to go full team though.
I'm not understanding you very well, man. The sound is weird.
I said you never want to go full team wolf.
Full Teen Wolf. Yeah. It's fun for me, man. I like being the wolf.
I bet, dude. I just want to see you fucking surf on top of a van with style, brother.
You know, I did the Don't Funk Up Our Beats contest, and we did a video, and somebody said that I look like Michael J. Fox, and that was why I actually started doing that. But yeah, it was probably the most unique time in my career, just because I took more pictures with people than I ever had, but mostly with people who had no idea who I really was. So it was just totally the costume. Had nothing to do with who I was or my music or being where I was. It was 100% the costume. So we did, I did a tour with ABK, and I dressed up as a zombie Jesus and had the shotgun mic. And I opened up the show singing Jesus Loves Me. And dude, like every place where we would open up with that, like it was dead silent, like eerie quiet, where you could hear a cricket chirping in the background if it was there. And then it would just like slam into the ugly intro, and like it was I had everybody's attention at that point, dude. Like it's not that way when I'm just me up there. You know what I mean?
It was cool, man.
It was fun. It was unique.
What about the bowling alley show with one dude dancing?
Oh my god. We're like, yeah, we're going to do a DVD. Everybody gets on the bus and leaves right before we get it to work. Yeah. That was awesome.
Dude. Hey man, that's what I use that example for all the shows that I did going forward, that I said, hey man, if there's one motherfucker here, that's all that matters to me. As long as there's one dude here that's digging it, we made a new fan.
Yep. Yeah, man, we definitely did some shows that were we did what we did, like, okay, here's what they asked us to do, let's do it.
Yeah, and, it didn't matter.
Right. No, we showed up and we kicked ass. That was the name of the game, for sure. Emerald City was a lot of fun, man. Like, the turnout wasn't great, but the show was so much fun.
God, that's so bad that venue just disappeared, because it was a good place to be.
Right? Yep. Cedar Rapids was happening at that time. Like, there were venues all over the place that we could hit and do shows, and
it was itching for it, because the only shit around is like country or cover bands.
Uh-huh.
And
I think it's a lot like that everywhere these days.
Well, now, I mean, you don't have to do it. I mean, you don't have to be good at music. You just honestly have to be good at marketing.
Right.
That's it. Listen to what's out. Look at fucking Tekashi 69. That shit's fucking garbage. It's all shock value.
Right.
A lot of this stuff is just spooky, dude. It's just. I mean, I like listening to like Royce the 5'9". That's my dude. That's my shit. One of the most underrated dudes, Kelly Roll.
For sure.
A lot of people don't get that dude's off the chain. So I mean, even Hot. I'm glad that he's back.
Yep.
I agree. We need good music, man. We don't need fucking this simple-minded new generation that just wants to hear a good beat and not care. You can literally say, person listening to this song is a big pile of shit, and they're fucking down dancing to it because it's got a good beat.
Yeah.
It's all about production. Production and marketing, man.
For sure. That's what it takes. And money. If you pay for it, you'll get where you want to get.
Absolutely. Money makes money.
True that. So what was the last project that you worked on? Is there anything that people can check out?
We did 2 Freedom 45 albums. One of those is owned by 603 outright paid for me, Bloke, and Grew. So that one's there because of 6 months. That album's actually probably one of my favorite albums. Straight Weed album is probably one of my favorite albums that I've done for quality, everything afterward. It's really just to listen to. And then full feature out would be Labaholics, me and Drew's group. Just probably that would be the newest of any full length album that I'm on. Anything else is just kind of like feature on this guy's album, feature on Drew's album, feature here, feature there.
Was that album called From the Lab?
Laboratory Stories.
Gotcha. Okay. Hell yeah.
Yes, sir.
Combine is an ill MC. This dude used to just go off on freestyles like crazy.
Still do. Won $5 grand for a job. And a freestyle for my work. And I actually did it, and then I won $5 grand for a company party, and then I went to our company's president club in Virgin Islands a year before last, and they decided to play it on video in front of all the top people in our company. And I've done a lot of shows in my life, and I've never been so embarrassed and red in my face. It was so, but then they gave me a standing ovation, dude, and I was like talking down. It was amazing.
Nice.
Especially for my peers, you know what I mean? For something I've been doing for 21 years of my life, you know. I had no idea that they just had this, like my fans always like, this guy raps and he works at True Green, and then all the people I work with are like, the old rapper, what? And they look up YouTube, and they're looking up all these videos, don't fuck up my beat shit, looking up old videos, and it was a fun time, man. It was a good ride, and I mean, I'm still down to make music. Shit, I still have what's the name of the joint that made this for us?
That what?
That pressed disc sold it for us.
Funaki? Kunaki. Yep.
So
Funaki was a wrestler.
I have Kunaki that's on my old Big Cartel page. That still, I get deposits into my PayPal out of nowhere. And
Nice.
there's nothing coming. I have not touched that shit in a decade.
Wow.
It still comes, and I'm like, that's crazy. But
that's wild. That's great, though. Hell
I
yeah.
also have an entire pack unopened. I support rap posters.
Oh, really?
You remember those?
Sort of. The
RAPE with the E crossed out.
Oh, right. Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, people they either really fucking loved it or they really didn't like it. I saw a dude in Walmart wearing one, dude, and I was just like, I don't even want to I was like, I almost regretted making it. Like, damn, dude.
You remember at Baxter Fun Days when you had to sing Louis Vuitton bitches in front of all the moms and little kids and everything? You remember that?
That little girl.
Hell yeah. Those are good times, dude.
We were doing a show in fucking northern Minnesota, outside on like a semi-trailer. And we're singing Drew's song, that song, I forgot, the Coming in Your Hair Tonight.
Yep.
So I'm singing, I turn around, and I'm doing the ad-lib for him. And I turn around, there's this little 6-year-old girl, and I did not mean to do it. But I look right at her and I go, "What's the fat ass nut in your hair, girl?"
Whoop.
And dude, I literally just stood there and I stopped doing that. I was like,
oh wow.
They really just do this? Very awkward. That's the way it is, man.
So when was the last time you did a live show?
Last night in my bedroom.
Oh, yeah. Getting it.
Rap. Oh, shit. What would have been the last show? It would have. I'm trying to think. When the hell it would have been? It would have been in Minnesota. Yeah, shit. I can't remember the place it was at, but
Was it when I saw you up there, Station 4?
No, we did one after Station 4. It was either that or we did a joint in Cedar Falls with Crummy.
Really?
Probably 6 years ago. Yeah, I talked to Crummy actually yesterday.
No shit.
Yeah, he
Crummy from the 2MCs.
bought lawn care.
Okay.
So yeah,
Well, that's good.
He's done and living his life, working a good job, married, kids, whole 9 yards, like everybody in the world but you.
Feels like it, bro. It really does.
You're chasing your dreams, brother. Drew's doing the same thing too. And I applaud him with having a kid. He solely takes care of his kid. Maybe his mom's not really into it too much. And he still grinds like a fucking demon, you know?
Gruesome is a great MC, you guys. You should check Gruesome out also. He's kind of part of the ending of the story of whatever White Trash Records started out as. Did you continue on as White Trash Records, or did you just stop doing that and then go into Prone Records? Or
completely stopped doing it.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, it was like our sub label, and that was it was ending. You know what I mean? So it was like that's ending. New chapter of my life. You know, it was just like basically went from one partner to the other partner.
Yeah.
You know, really that was the difference. So it was like driving to Des Moines and now driving to Hopkins. Either way, I'm driving fucking car as fuck.
The funny thing was, like, I actually had networked with Gruesome before you and him became friends and set up that collaboration.
At Sam's apartment.
Yep, Sam's house. We all got together and made a song, something Top Notch Killers is what it was called.
Yep.
And after that day, we did one show in Minnesota at a place called the Hollywood Bar and Grill. And then on the way back to the after party, everything just went to fucking shit. And that was pretty much the very last time that we were together and working on the same plans.
I would say that moment in my life is probably the most childish I've ever been in my life.
Right on, man.
Well, here's the thing, though, that you gotta look at it, though. What kind of hit me hard on my side with it is how quick you jumped from me, but the argument with me and you was almost like, you're my brother, and I'm arguing with you, you know what I mean? Like, I can say anything I want to you, because you're my brother, you're not going anywhere. So then when you dipped, it was just like, what the fuck? And then all the was like, why did I say that? Why did I talk like this? Fucking printer ink, fucking Xanax, fucking everything, fucking mom, fucking. It was just, you know what I mean? It was those. Why?
Yep.
But it was such a big thing that it ended it over something so minuscule and stupid that literally had no impact on anything or anything at all. You know what I mean? If the argument didn't happen, everything life would have been normal. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We would have fought an hour later. Who knows? You know what I mean? You just don't. You know, we just never know. But
right.
Weird situation.
Yeah, man. I mean, for what it's worth, I do apologize for my end of just being a dick, dude. You know?
You want to know what, though? We were going through a lot of stress. Dealing with, I mean, first thing is we're not home. We're going and doing all these as we possibly can. We're not getting paid hardly shit. We got this label that we're supposed to be signing with. We're already making music with, but we're not signed yet.
Yeah.
It was just such a fucking scam from Sid. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, you know your whole situation. It was just all a scam. That dude is not a musician. He's a DJ for a gigantic fucking rock band.
Right. And that, you know, my next story time will definitely move forward into Tough Bong Records and, you know, some of those fun things that I went through dealing with their poor and unprofessionalism in business.
You gonna get Sid on?
I'm gonna try. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Why not? I'm trying to make some wrong things right, man. Like, the world's a shitty place right now, and I feel like if I can go back and go through and maybe just, say I'm sorry, maybe it'll do something. I don't know,
No, it does. It means a lot, man. It's a character thing, and we're getting older, and you know how many opportunities you're going to have to be able to make right your wrongs. You know what I mean? And I feel the same way, man. If I could go back and change things, I wouldn't, because it made me who I am today. Do I regret a lot of shit? Fuck yeah. But will I change it? Nah. You know what I mean? I'm happy with the way I am right now. Living my life. I got a great family, healthy.
That's what's up. Hell yeah, man. I have the family thought run through my head once in a while, like it's something that I feel like I've missed out on up until, whatever now is. I don't even know what the present really brings these days because it's so chaotic. But, I wouldn't mind having that kind of thing in my life. It's
It definitely changes your outlook, man, on everything, just because for once in your life, you honestly, even you can have a girlfriend, you can have, a wife, whatever, and you can say that you care about that person more than yourself, but you're just lying to yourself. But when you have a child that literally came from you, you know what I mean? There's nothing more important than them and their health and their life and them having the time of this is their turn now. I get to be that big fat dude that can show them some funny music I used to make back in the day.
right. Yeah, that's one thing I sort of dread a little bit is uncovering some of the young ideas that I had in some of my songs and stuff. If I were to ever play them for, a child that I may have in the future.
Well, you know what? They always get older, man. My daughter's 14 and she knows everything about my music.
That's what's up.
She knows everything about everything else. So we openly talk. She openly curses. I curse.
So when I first met you, your wife was pregnant with Tatum. Actually, that was when we very first met. So that's how long it's been.
And it's been tough. And she's a good girl. Look at volleyball. Real good school kid. Now my son Lincoln, he's autistic, so it's it was easy raising Tatum. Lincoln's tough. He is really tough because I never thought it was that much of a big difference having an autistic son, and it's really tough. But you know what I mean? You just got to work even harder with him than a normal child.
Sure. And you said he's 4?
Yep.
Right on, man.
He'll be 5 in November.
That's what's up. Well, I can't wait to meet him.
Absolutely. He's a funny little guy. His favorite part of the song is, Eminem and Godzilla?
Yeah.
Have you seen the actual video?
Yeah.
When Mike Tyson knocked him out?
Yes.
He literally, every time that happens, he goes, what the fuck?
That's so funny. You got to record that, man.
Absolutely, man. We have that. He curses so much, it's ridiculous. It's people talk shit, about players that do that. They can fuck up. You know what I mean? My kids are taught to say what they want to say within their home, and then respect out of their home. You know what I mean? Do not curse at school. My daughter, she won't say a word to anybody besides us. You know what I mean? That she, like curse words because we allow her to be open and free with the way she speaks. And what's going to happen when you're 14, 15 anyway? You're going to be with your friends like, that fucking dude,
right.
So why hide it?
I think that's a good approach. The world is a very real place. You can't censor it. You might as well teach them about it.
Yeah, and I can shut it off if I want. When I go to work, I'm like, hey, how's it going? Oh, nice to meet you. Wonderful. Thanks. Bye. I can put on my game here. No offense to the homosexual community. Please don't get me canceled.
So what side of town do you live on now?
Southwest.
Are you close to where you were before?
I'd say probably like about 15 blocks.
Right on.
Yeah, we got a big old, we got 3-story, 6-bedroom.
Nice.
Yeah, Lester, or I don't know, Chief died. If you remember Chief.
Of course.
Yeah, he died after like 5 years.
Oh.
So now when he died, we got Professor Tatum's lab. She named him Professor Claus, and
Nice.
we've had him. I mean, since she was like 4.
Good
So
for
yeah,
you.
he's like 10. He's still alive. Probably not for much longer, but I mean, he's still alive.
Uh-huh. That's what's up.
You
Hell
know?
yeah, man. So you True Green is just your plan right now? You don't have anything on the table, or are you working on anything, or?
Well, I do. I actually also I buy and resell Jordans.
Say it
So
again?
I buy and resell Jordans.
Like the shoes.
Yes.
Right on. Do you do that with bonus too? Is that he was the shoe guy for a while?
A lot of bonuses fake, man. I'm not dealing with that China. My shit's coming right from like I get on right when shit comes available through my sneaker app, and I get on it and I buy it, and then boom, I get that quick. Because some of these shoes don't go like I got Off-White 5s a couple months ago, and literally bought $200. Didn't even open the box, shipped them out $1,100.
That's the way to do it.
So it's all about I have 7 iPhones that I line up that I have all different accounts in, and then I just buy boom, 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 buy whatever I can get for these huge hits that come out. You take a lot of L's, but you get 1 or 2 wins, you literally double, triple, quadruple your money. It's like that. And you don't even touch it. Open fucking touch like the first person buys it on eBay or Poshmark or StockX. That's what Poshmark shoes.
That's what's up, man. You were always real good at figuring out how to work things together to just be what you wanted it to be. So that's cool.
I fucking love money. I love buying things. And like I said, even today, I want income. Medical problems with my wife all day. She went through, I don't know if you know, Michelle went through chemo for almost 2.5 years, fighting cancer.
Oh, I knew I didn't know all that. No.
She's all good now. And
Good.
my son, my daughter, my dog, I mean, all this, everything. And I handle it all myself. And I still buy everything I want. At any given time. You know what I mean? Because I will find a way to get it. If I have to harder to get it, you know, I'll get it. I'll find a way to do it. You know what I mean? If I have to hustle a little bit to get it, I like things and always find things I want.
You're the man.
I try.
Hell yeah, dude. It takes effort. That's it. I'm glad to see that you give a shit. Some people give up and don't. So you've stuck it out for a long time doing the same grind, bro. So I'm proud of you for that, man.
Ways, you know, it's the legal way of selling dubs to people, you know, selling aid to people. It's just finding a legal way to make that same money, you know, no different from selling drugs, man. It's just not having to look behind your back with the popo, you know.
I feel that for sure.
I got it. The other problem, sometimes you buy shoes, you'll sit on them. Like I probably 50 pairs of kicks, all dead stock, just chilling because I'm sitting on them waiting for them to gain their value because when you're taking money,
That's crazy.
it's hard not to wear them.
I bet that would be tough. I can definitely understand how that would be difficult.
All retros. You got a pair of 1s or 3s or 4s. You know, and like, oh my god, bad. Do you know what you know in your shoe or on your foot? You lost that extra money. Now the crazy thing is you can wear it for months and then go sell them, still make what you got paid for originally.
That's crazy.
But I won't make any profit.
Sure. You fill that hole. That's it. Well, bro, I'm gonna tell you, it's so good to see your face, man. I'm happy that we got to talk and connect. And
I could say the same thing for you, but I can't see your fucking face.
yeah, this is No Shave November is when I started this one, so we'll see how long it gets. I've been quarantined for a minute, so
Jesus.
not really.
The fucking ears with the vaccines in that fucking ear.
If they just studied the beard, this thing would be all over with, I tell you. No, I love you, bro, and I'm really glad that you came on. Thank you very much for hanging. A lot of people watched us just hang out and talk and whatever, but we got a lot of history. We worked hard together, man, so thank you for helping me, start off my career, bro.
No, man, I appreciate you friends, and you started off mine too. I mean, you know what I mean? It made it a hobby to actually, when you have somebody to do it with, it made it fun, it made it more interesting, and like I said, made it a better chapter in my life, man. But send me a track, man.
You got it, dude. Count on it.
You got my email. If anybody else I didn't get to read any comments, if anyone has any questions, Izzy, you can give them my email. That's fine. Go ahead and email me.
Yeah, kingcombine@gmail.com.
Yes, sir.
Combine's a good dude. Always has been. If I said anything bad about you, I'm sorry, man.
That's all right, man. It happens when you party naked.
All right, bro. I can't wait to link up with you in real life. I hope you're good.
Hit me up, brother. Same number. Been that way for what? 14 years?
That long? You bet.
Same number, brother. Hit me up, man.
I will. I'll ring you.
All right. Peace, guys.
Later. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you in the morning.